What's up, everybody? We are here for episode 4 of Beyond the Game, and this is a special one because literally in about a few hours from now, I'm flying out to the National Card Show, which is in Cleveland. So there's a lot to talk about, a lot of money to be made. It's a super interesting time of the year for sports cards. It's probably the hottest time of the year as opposed to like December and around the holidays is the lowest time of the year. So I wanted to go over the first thing. Let me go live on Instagram real quick. Hold on. We are live now on Instagram. It's cool. So I wanted to go over the National Card Show and just like what it is, how I look at it, how I make money from it, and just like the whole thing. So if you don't know what a card show is, right? A card show is just something where people have booths set up with their cards displayed, and there's people like me who walk around and do deals with these dealers, right? So you could be the dealer or you could be a buyer. Now, the National Card Show is the biggest card show of the year. So like some big card shows are like Dallas and Chicago and like Burbank where there's like 400 tables, 500 tables. The National Card Show, I'm guessing here, it's got to be at least 2,500 tables. Like it's like insane. It's pretty crazy. And I'll kind of like reveal my strategy and what I do and like how I look at it and how I make money. So I'll give you guys a few pointers, a few tips. So first of all, cash is king. Okay, no one wants PayPal, no one wants Venmo, no one wants Zelle. Bring cash. Go to the bank and get cash. It's going to help you out a lot. Okay? And the beautiful thing about the National Card Show is it brings people out that you would never meet or see before. Like there's people that will hold their cards like for years and just be like, okay, I'm going to go to the Cleveland National Card Show when it's here in 2 years, and you get these local Cleveland people you'll never ever see before, and you'll see these cards like there's one story I wrote about it in an email today just to kind of give you an example. So there's the Chicago National Card Show. This was a few years ago, and there was a guy I met. I'm not going to say his name, but he was from Detroit. He doesn't do sports cards online, doesn't really go to shows, and he invested in Patrick Mahomes when he was a rookie. Now, if you know anything about Patrick Mahomes, when his rookie cards, what they are now, they're worth like 100 times, okay? And he had tons and tons of Patrick Mahomes cards. And it was actually an interesting story because he worked at maybe he was a DoorDash driver, something very simple. And he took all his extra money and bought Patrick Mahomes cards when he was a rookie because the guy was a big Chiefs fan. He thought Mahomes would be good with Andy Reid. And he was buying, I mean, just to give you an example, like he bought like his 101 Black Prism for like $1,000 or something, or like $2,000. And he ended up selling it for like $1 million or something close to it. Like insane. Like he changed his life by investing in Patrick Mahomes, this guy. Like he probably spent like $10,000 to $15,000, which was probably a ton of money to him at the time when Patrick Mahomes was a rookie. And that netted him well over $1 million. Like, and he sold during the pandemic. So it was pretty crazy. But anyways, the reason I'm telling you this story is because I met him. He had a gold optic Patrick Mahomes. Okay. And the card at the time was worth about $50,000. It's not worth that anymore. Now it's probably worth like $30,000. But anyways, there was a recent sale of $50,000, and I said to him, I made friendly conversation with him. I've done a few deals with him before, and this is at the National. And I was like, hey, how much do you want? And he's like, you know what, man? I paid $300 for the card, so I have some leeway. And we've done deals before. And long story short, he ended up giving me the card for about $38,000 in trade. And the card was worth $50,000. And since I gave him $38,000 in trade, I was into those cards for probably like 30 to 32. And I ended up selling the card for right around $50,000 in cash. So things like that will happen at the National Card Show. You'll run into these people that you would just never see before. And a lot of these guys have been holding these cards for years, and they're finally looking to cash out. The problem with when you buy cards from a dealer, right, is they're flipping, right? They're constantly flipping, so their margins are small. Like, just to give you an example, like if you look behind me, like that card of Justin Herbert, I bought that card. It's probably worth like $2,500 today. Like I think I paid like $2,000. I forget. But right, I'm dealing with small margins. Like I'm not gonna let that card go for like anything under like $2,300, right? But there's people that buy these players when they're rookies and hold them for years and years and years, and they're into these cards for pennies. And right, if you're into a card for $500 and now it's worth $2,500, well, it's a lot easier to move that card, right? Duh. Um, so looking out for people like that is always super clutch, super key. I mean, dealers will give you deals. You just kind of have to scavenge through their cards because really people don't like to lose money on cards, as you can imagine. So like you could have a dealer and like on 90% of his cards is overpriced, but on one of them he's into cheap for whatever reason. And that's why like when I go to a dealer, not only do I look at what cards I'm interested in, but I look at the price tags, right? If a dealer has a price tag of $2,000 on a card and the last sale did 1,300, I'm probably not going to even talk about the card, right? I don't want to piss off or insult the dealer. However, if a card just did $1,300 the last sale and the dealer's at 1,400, okay, then there's some wiggle room, right? So you kind of have to find like what cards dealers are into for cheap, what cards they're not into for cheap, and kind of scavenge your way. I mean, it helps being in the sports cards a while because you can kind of just look at cards and be like, okay, like these cards are worth way overpriced and these ones are not. Um, so that is kind of what I do at card shows. And then what's super clutch and what's super key is after these card shows, there's something called trade nights. I think I talked about this in the last podcast, and I'll talk about it again because it's super important. Like it's like, and it's a lot of fun. So, right, when you do a deal with a dealer, it's harder to do a deal because why? Well, they know what they're doing, right? They're not going to leave any money on the table, and they spent thousands of dollars to set up at the card show. If you ever talk to a dealer at a card show and at the national card show, and you try and do a deal with him, and like he's not budging on price, and you guys are close, he'll always throw at you like it cost me thousands of dollars to set up, and blah 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 blah. And so it cost them, and it does cost them thousands of dollars to set up, move all their inventory here, all that stuff. However, what you could do is go to a trade night. So a trade night is basically where a bunch of people go into a room. Usually it's in a hotel conference room, a hotel lobby. I think this year it's in a hotel conference room. And you could just do deals with the regular people walking around, not dealers. And as you can imagine, they're way easier to deal with because they don't have as much startup cost or expenses to get there. They're not sharks. They're not looking for every last penny, even though some people are, obviously. So those trade nights are huge and clutch. And also, it's great to build connections. Hey, Poker, how you doing? Sorry, my dog's next to me. So those trade nights, I would strongly recommend going. I mean, at the National Card Show, it literally doesn't stop. People are there. They'll start at the show at like 9 a.m. Show will end at like 6 p.m. They'll eat. Trade night will start at 7 or 8 p.m. Go to midnight. Wake up the next day. So I strongly recommend going to those, even if you go there and just buy nothing. Like you don't buy anything, you don't sell anything. Just getting people's phone numbers and experiencing it for the first time is super cool. Like it will be overwhelming, especially if you've never been to a card show before. The National Card Show is like super overwhelming. Like there's tons and tons and tons of stuff going on. There's so many cards and different types of prices, and it's all over the place. So that's kind of the National Card Show. My plan going in there is to buy like higher end basketball, higher end cards. I really look for higher end cards. I mean, that's more what I do because that's where you can kind of find margin. If there's like a card that's worth $500, no one's gonna give you that card for like $350 or $400. But if there's a card worth $5,000, that's a lot more realistic to find one for like $3,500 or $4,000, and then it's a lot more money to be made. It's just a little bit trickier because you have to know what you're doing with the high end cards because there's not as many sales, right? So it's like that's why like a $500 card you're never gonna find at a steep discount because it's a commonly, or for the most part, it's a pretty commonly sold card. If you have a card that's worth $500 and there's a bunch of sales on eBay and the sales are right around $500, well, people aren't dumb. They're not going to sell it for $350. However, if you have a card that's worth $5,000 and one hasn't sold in 6 months and the player hasn't played in a few months, right? It's all of a sudden it's like, oh, like what's it worth? Not sure. So that's why I go after the higher end stuff, but you definitely shouldn't do that. Like the first way to start making money with sports cards is buying raw, getting graded, selling, and it's actually easier to find these raw cards to get graded online, like eBay, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. It's way easier to find stuff. And then at the National Card Show, it's gonna be hard to find stuff raw to get graded. But at local card shows, it's a lot easier to find raw cards in good condition to get them graded. So that's kind of the National Card Show in a nutshell. That's my strategy. I mean, what I'm saying here and what I'll do is probably will be completely opposite. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so I just kind of know what I can make money on and what I can't. So it's like sometimes it's hard for me to talk strategy because I've been doing this for so long. But we'll see. I mean, I'll have a videographer following me around, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I spend a lot of money, and hopefully, I make a lot of money. I'm bringing around just around $100,000 in cash, so I'm probably not going to spend all of it, but one year I did. Um, so yeah, and also I guess last story about the National Card Show. So this kind of highlights like just the power of how much money you can make. So this was the Atlantic City National Card Show. This was 2022, and cards were going crazy, just like absolutely insane. Like just if you just bought anything and held it for a month, it went up in value. Obviously, that's not sustainable, but that was cards. Just anything just would go up. It was crazy. Like you felt like you were the man. You felt like you knew what you were doing. And there was a Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow were super hot at the time. Super hot. Their cards were just going up like crazy. And Justin Herbert, so I got a text message from a friend, and he had a friend that just graded a Justin Herbert National Treasures number to 99. He got a 9.5 on his true RPA National Treasures rookie card. What that means is it's like Justin Herbert's like truest rookie card, his most liquid, the one that people want the most, his highest N1 out of National Treasures. And those cards are extremely hard to grade because they're thick. A thicker card is harder to grade because the corners get damaged easier, the edges get damaged easier, the surfaces get damaged easier. It's easy to like just for there to be a little indent. But anyways, my buddy had a friend that graded it, and it graded it a 9.5. And he actually had a card shop in Cleveland, this guy, and he paid $40,000 for the card. And in my opinion, the card is probably worth like $90 to $100,000 in that range. There weren't that many sales. And long story short, I ended up meeting up with this guy in the hotel of the Tropicana lobby in Atlantic City. And I handed him, I gave him like 50 grand in cash and like 20,000 in trade. It was right around there. It was like 11 p.m. It's just some random night in a random hotel lobby in Atlantic City. So we made the transaction happen. I had the card, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I knew I was into it for cheap. Like, I had the card. I was into it for around 70 grand. And I sold it the next day at the card show for $110,000 in cash. That's the most I've ever made on a card. And I don't recommend buying cards that big ever. Like, they're just way too difficult to move. I mean, cards were different back then where, like, anything you put your hands on, you would make money. So it was just different. Cards have taken a step back now. But even though they've taken a step back, they kind of went, like, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So, like, just to give you an example, like a LeBron James rookie card, like before the pandemic, was PSA 10 Topps Chrome 2003. It was worth like $400 or $500. During the pandemic, it went all the way up to $30,000, but now it's come back down to like $4,000. I think it's worth now, $4,000 to $5,000. So cards are still up a ton, and just they're steadily going up. But just the pandemic, if anything goes up that much, right, it's going to come down. Just like crypto, just like NFTs, like nothing could sustain that type of just growth. That's just insanity. So hopefully you guys like that. And then I'll do some Q&As, and I'll kind of talk about some sports card strategy. So I got a question from Mike. Mike says, is there an easy way to tell the difference between refractors, ice, and cracked ice? No. So to be honest with you, not really. All these cards look pretty similar. Where I used to get tripped up is there would be like a blue. Then there'd be like a blue shimmer or like a blue wave, and they look so different, or they look so similar, but there's a subtle difference. And I bought cards before that I thought were a blue, and they were actually like a blue wave, and cost myself a lot of money. So they look, and the more you do cards, you'll get used to it. But like, just know, like, so like a cracked ice card, for example, like there's one behind me, I think, yeah, like a cracked ice card, for example, something like this. It's just like, it looks like ice. That's just the best way to describe it. And it'll say on it, especially if it's graded, it'll tell you the type of card. And on the card, I don't think it'll tell you if it's, I don't think it tells you the variation on a lot of these cards. Yeah, I don't think it'll tell you if it's a cracked ice. You just kind of have to know, which is kind of a pain in the ass. But as you get better at cards and you do it more, you'll get used to it. And honestly, what I did a lot when I first started sports cards, my friend Dylan, he's the one who got me into sports cards and kind of introduced me to it. And I would always ask him. I would always run it by him before purchasing something. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? And he saved me so much money and so much time because he told me, don't buy it for this reason. This corner's messed up, or this is the wrong type of card, or you're paying the wrong price. So I would definitely find someone like as a mentor or a guide so you don't cost yourself money. Because if I didn't have that mentor or guide for the first few years when I was buying and selling sports cards, I mean, I probably wouldn't be in front of this camera right now, and I'd probably have a 9 to 5 job, to be honest with you. So yeah, so find a mentor. He's like, it's just hard, like, because there's so many different types of cards, and they all look the same because they're all the same exact picture, but just the colors look slightly different. So no easy answer to that one. All right, this is a long question. Jack. So Jack says, I'm new to cards, but I snagged the 2022 Bowman Draft Jackson Holiday Auto Blue Wave Refractor PSA 9. I wasn't interested in getting into anything of that value, but I found someone that needed to sell, and I got a good deal on it. It's the anchor for my small collection, but I'd like to move it and use the profits to really start investing into cards. I'd like to get out of it there at the big news event. I think you're trying to say at the big card show that's coming up, the national card show. Should I list it on eBay? Is there something that would do well in auction? Also, am I being too hasty by selling earlier rather than later? So Jack, to answer your question, I would sell that card ASAP right now. Like that card of Jackson Holiday, will it go up a little bit? Will it go down a little bit? Nobody knows. But if you're getting to this hobby and you're looking to make money, the fastest, quickest, easiest way to do that is buying raw cards, getting them graded, flipping them, reselling them. Because I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew if Jackson Holiday was going to go up or not. Like, who knows, right? And most guys don't go up. Most guys go down. But Jack, let me look that up for you, what that card's worth right now. Because I'm not exactly sure. So let's see. Blue Wave Jackson Holiday PSA 9. That card is worth around $850. Then one before that's a blue. So, oh wait, no, that's a blue that did $850. Blue Wave. So Jack, that card's probably worth like $500 to $600 if I had to guess. So what I would do with that card, honestly, let's say that card's worth $500. I would just sell it for like 10%, 15% off, because you can go to an auction house and you could sell it, but you're gonna have to pay like 10 to 15% in fees. Or you can go on Facebook, which is my favorite place to sell cards, to a Facebook group, and list it for like 10% below comps. Someone will buy it right away, and people will get to know you. You'll be able to build connections. So that's what I would do, Jack, if I was you. I would just sell it right now for 10, 15% less. Make your money on it. Take the money, reinvest into something that's predictable, right? Because like holding Jackson Holiday, who the hell knows, right? Like no one knows if that's going to go up or not. Like I don't. You don't. Jackson Holiday probably doesn't. So nobody knows. So let's see. John here, this is in the Instagram live chat, says, do you have a favorite type of card to buy right now that grades easy? I've been looking at Prism Silver, but find them to be off-centered. Okay, John. So the best bang for your buck when it comes to grading is Prism. And like low, like cards around $100 that are not autographed. So like Prism is the most effective, efficient card to get graded. There's also Mosaic, which is pretty good. Those are actually a little bit harder to grade this year because they have like these black backings to them, so the corners get damaged easier. That's what I would say in terms of that. Select's not bad. It's taking a fall though, so you just want to make sure you're gonna be able to make the proper amount of money. But Prism Silvers are usually harder to grade than like Prism Color because the silver, like it's like a shiny surface, and they get dimples very easily, and they get scratched very easily, as opposed to like a blue Prism, for example, it's not going to get scratched as easily, right? Because it's not a shiny surface. I know it's a weird thing in sports cards, but the shinier the surface, the higher the chance the surface is going to get damaged. Okay, so it's a nice little piece of advice for you. See, Caleb says, what do you think of the Lions and Jared Goff? I mean, not worth investing in, but I think the Lions are going to be really good this year. Standard rule of thumb with sports cards, if you want to do it right, just never, ever hold cards into the season. It's always a bad idea. Most players by week 8 are going to be worth way less than they are right now. Not everyone, but most. Just take my word for it. I've been doing this a long time. There will be like one guy, maybe two that blow up. Every other guy will be worth less than they are right now. I know it's hard to imagine because like if I know me personally, I really want to buy I think Justin Herbert's gonna have a great year. Like I think mostly because of Jim Harbaugh. Like everywhere that guy goes, team's incredible. Like JJ McCarthy, in my opinion, is like not an NFL quarterback, and like he made him a first round pick. And like Alex Smith, when he first got to the Niners, Harbaugh was amazing. Remember the Niners? They weren't good for years. Harbaugh got there, they were a powerhouse. And then they lost in the NFC Championship game to the Giants. Yes, I think it was Eli Manning and the Giants went in there. But yeah, I think Justin Herbert's gonna freaking knock it out of the park this year. Like I'm so high on him. I'm like tempted to hold. John says, do you want to buy football still or just focus on basketball? So what's your goal? Like, well, obviously the goal is to make money. But John, what I could tell you, if you're buying cards to get graded, like rule of thumb that helps me, this helps a lot of people, is once that season starts, like once the NFL season starts, you want no NFL cards on you. So take that how you want. So like right now it's July, and if you're going to send cards to PSA, like football cards, and you're going to use the lowest end service, it's going to be close. They might get back to you after the season starts. But if you use the higher end service, like the $40 level, you should be fine. So that's just what I would ask myself. And then in terms of buying football cards already graded, I wouldn't, because it's better to buy those in like March and April to give them time to appreciate. Like stuff could appreciate in August, but you're just kind of hoping the player pops off or like does something well in the preseason. Like that's why I don't know if you read my emails or my marketing. I've been pretty high on Sam Howell, not because I think Sam Howell is like the greatest quarterback in the world, but I think Sam Howell is going to give Geno Smith a run for his money. And like Sam Howell, so like he's worth like 20% of what he once was. So his prices are a backup quarterback's prices. And Pete Carroll says Geno Smith is our starter. So Sam Howell sells for what a backup should sell for, like a solid backup. However, if Sam Howell does anything in the preseason to push Geno Smith, if he has a good preseason game and Geno Smith looks bad, whatever, his prices will double. Or at least go up 50%, like that. Because there's the floor, like the way I look at it, is like Sam Howell is at the floor right now. Like he can't really go down. He could get injured and go down a little bit, I guess. But like he sells for a backup already, right? Like it's already down here. And if it's only up. So if he pushes Geno Smith real quick, it'll boop, go up. It's kind of like a penny stock, right? Like if Disney does something good, right, their stock price will move 1%, 2%. If some BS little volatile company does something like gets a military contract, it goes up a lot, right? Because it's volatile. People get excited. It's like cryptocurrency. There's like just a lot of volatility, and that's how to really make money. So like if you're looking to do something like that, like who do you think will have a nice push in the preseason? Like another name to throw out there is like Aiden O'Connell, right? Like I don't know. I'm more on Sam Howell, but that's kind of like if you want to buy football now, that's what I would do. But buying guys like Burrow or Herbert or Mahomes and these Josh Allen, these guys that are like blue chip stocks, for lack of a better term, they're not going to go up. Maybe a little bit if you get lucky, but like it's like, what are you going to do with it, right? I mean, unless you get a really good deal. Caleb says, this is probably a stupid question. No stupid questions. But do you think Wemby is a generational talent? Yeah, I do. I think he's going to have a lot of excitement before the season starts. So, yes, I do. Caleb, to answer your question. Let's go back to these questions I got here. So, are you going to the Burbank Show at the end of August? Steve asked me. 50-50. So I got a lot going on. Flying all the way from Tampa to Los Angeles is a lot for me. This card show's a lot for me. I could only make it for like a few days. So 50-50. It's a great card show. So I might. 50-50, Steve. Rick says, I have a bunch of older cards from the 70s and 80s, pretty much all in good condition. Is there a way to improve the condition of cards to get a 9 or a 10? No. I mean, there is, but it's illegal. You could like trim the corners, but you're not supposed to do that, so no. And if anything's off-center, you're not going to be able to improve that condition. So to answer the question, to improve the condition of those cards, no, besides wiping stuff off the surface. That's the only thing I could see you could actually do. Other than that, those cards, not really. The problem with those cards is the corners get damaged very easily because they're so flimsy. So yeah. Wesley says, with the hobby market trending downwards, what's your top 3 strategies for keeping ROI strong? Hold on a second. Let me take it. So, Wesley, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. I'm going to answer that next. Um, so Jamie says, I've invested thousands of dollars into Star and Klingon, and I have over 100 of their cards graded, patched autos, limited edition autos. The prices are sporadic since they're in Summer League, and I've had more seasoned collectors tell me to sit on them. When is the best time to sell for the biggest profit? The best time would be right now because most players don't live up to expectation, right? So not everyone, but most of them are probably not going to perform up to what you think. They're probably going to be on the bench a lot. But the problem with those guys is, so like Klingon and Sar and like Bronny James, like this draft class of NBA, their good cards won't come out until like next year, like January, February, March. So like I'm not sure which cards you bought of them to be graded. I'm sure there are some out there that are like worth it to get graded and that are liquid and you could sell. But I would say like most young guys don't go up in with time. They go down with time, right? It's kind of like common sense. Like most guys are bust. Like here's a great statistic. Like out of what was it in the past? 50%. So 50%, half of NFL quarterbacks drafted in the first round, half, 50% are out of the league within 5 years. Pretty crazy stat, right? So what that says is like scouts who have billion or hundreds of millions and millions of dollars at their disposal can't predict who's going to be good. How can you? How can I? I have no idea. Like I think Justin Herbert's going to have a great year. That's the only thing I got. We have no idea what's going to happen with these young guys because there's so much that goes into it when a player gets drafted and gets into the league. Like what people don't realize is the most important part of a player getting into the league, any league, NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, is your coaching and your situation, right? There's very, very few players, very few, that can overcome dysfunction, right? Let's take Andrew Luck, for example, right? We all remember good old Andrew Luck. I remember I had a card of his that was, I think I paid $3,000 for, and then he retired the next week, and then I had to sell for like $500. But Andrew Luck was a rare case. The Colts sucked, but Andrew Luck was so good, he was able to overcome dysfunction. And he was incredible, but he couldn't overcome it for long because he kept getting injured and got retired. Here's another example, right? 2018, right? We had Sam Darnold and Josh Allen got drafted. Sam Darnold got drafted before Josh Allen. I can tell you, being a Jets fan, if Josh Allen went to the Jets, he would probably not even be in the league anymore. Josh Allen was a disaster his first year and the first kind of 2 years. Inaccurate, a lot of bad decisions, a lot of interceptions. And if he went to the Jets instead, I bet my ass, because the Jets, like, situation, no good, didn't have good weapons, didn't have good coaching, he would probably be out of the league. And Sam Darnold, if he got drafted to the Bills, would probably still be their starting quarterback. That's what I fully believe in. It's because the situation, the coaching, and the people around you matter so much more than how good you are, right? There's very, very few players that can overcome, like, badness, dysfunction. Like, even, like, Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady, he was obviously good, but he got put into an incredible situation, and he was in an incredible situation his whole career, right? He had a top defense and top offensive line almost every year he played. And also, his division sucked. What people don't realize about Tom Brady is, listen, I'm not disputing that he's great. Tom Brady's fucking incredible. But he had to play the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets, who were bad almost every single year. Think of how advantageous that is. I don't know what the exact number is, but Tom Brady probably averaged going 5-1 every single year against his division. Right? Isn't that pretty remarkable? And he gets a bye every single year. That plays a big part in winning 6 Super Bowls or 7 Super Bowls, right? Getting a bye every single year, right? Or a lot of the years, and you just need to win 2 home games, as opposed to, like, take, for example, Justin Herbert. Right? What a shitty situation that is. He has to go against Patrick Mahomes every single year. Now Sean Payton's in the division. Raiders are like, eh. But, right? People don't realize, like, your situation is so much more important than the actual player you are. It's just crazy. Like, take Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's fucked, right? Seahawks are always solid. The Niners are way better. The Rams. Like, the Rams were supposed to be bad last year, and they were still good because McVay's incredible. So, like, the point I'm trying to make here is, like, you just don't know when these young players get drafted. Like, nobody knows, right? Because the situation is so important, and the player has to have a good head on their shoulders. And like C.J. Stroud got put into a great situation, right? See, even though C.J. Stroud's obviously incredible, but now he has Stephon Diggs, but he had a great receiver in Tank Dell, a really good defense. The Texans had a really good defense with D'Amico Ryans coaching them, and his division sucked, right? Division wasn't that good, right? You have the Colts, you have the Jaguars, not that good, as opposed to like if you stick C.J. Stroud in like the NFC West with the Rams and Seahawks and Niners, it's a whole different situation, right? The point I'm trying to make here is the situation matters so much more. So like if you want to invest in a quarterback, like the ones that got drafted this year, ask yourself like who's in the best possible situation. Not who's the best player. Pretend all the players had the exact same equal skill level. Who's in the best situation, right? Let's look it up. Let me look this up so I don't miss anyone. This is actually interesting. So, like what I could tell you, right? Let's take a few of these quarterbacks, and I'm gonna say something where like you guys are gonna think I'm a fucking idiot, okay? But hold on. So this is my opinion. Jaden Daniels, and I'm not thinking about how good they are, how good they throw the ball, how fast they are, is in a horrible situation. He has to play the Eagles, the Giants, who have a good defense, and the Cowboys, who are always solid. And Jaden Daniels has one of the worst offensive lines in the league. I actually think Sam Howell is a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels. But Sam Howell had zero opportunity last year because his offensive line was so bad. They have some weapons with like McLaurin and what's his name from Penn State? I forget his name from Penn State. The other receiver who was pretty good as a rookie last year. I forget his name. But he had weapons, but no offensive line. Like Jaden Daniels has no shot. Like, and this is being recorded. No shot to succeed the first year unless he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? So Jaden Daniels, bad situation. Caleb Williams, pretty good situation. Like, pretty good. Not amazing because look who he has to play, right? Minnesota, who has a good defense. Dotson, thanks Shane. Dotson's the good receiver on the Commanders, right? Look at Caleb Williams, right? Rookie quarterbacks always struggle a little bit, and the Bears' running game is not great. Like who's like actually they have DeAndre Swift, so it might be better this year. But he has to play Minnesota, always solid, right? Especially now with like Justin Jefferson. They had a good defense last year. Packers, who people think have a shot to go to the Super Bowl, and the Lions, who I think are going to go to the Super Bowl. So look at that situation, right? Like, could he be incredible and succeed? Maybe, but probably not, especially being a rookie. And the Bears just seem like they can never function properly. Like I actually think, I think the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl this year. That's my personal opinion. So like, situation's just bad, right? Drake May's kind of like an okay situation, right? He has like the Patriots. They don't really have any weapons, but they play the Bills, who are good. Jets, who actually have a really good defense, and the Dolphins. So like, actually, I take that back. Drake May's just like, I'm not even saying this because Shane's one of my friends and he's on here and he's a big Patriots fan. But I'm saying this because Drake May is just not in an optimal situation. Now, any of these quarterbacks could be great and everything I'm saying can go out the window. But the situation he's in, it's not good, right? Rookie quarterback, or rookie coach, and he, right, doesn't have many weapons, and it's a defensive coach, right? It always helps if you have an offensive coach. And he has to play the Jets, who have a great D. Bills always have a good D. And Dolphins don't have a good D, but they go up and down the field. So, like, this situation is just not good. Next one would be Michael Penix. So, I mean, Kirk Cousins probably is going to play, but, like, if Michael Penix plays this year, Michael Penix is in an excellent situation. Excellent situation. They have a top 5 offensive line, which people don't think about, but Falcons have a really good offensive line, and, like, that's super important. They have really good weapons, right? With, like, London and, oh, man, I'm blanking now. Tight end from Florida. He's their number one option. Kyle Pitts. And they have a few other weapons, and they have Bijan Robinson, right? That's an incredible situation. And their division sucks, right? That helps. They're in the worst division in the league, right? The Saints, Bucks, Panthers, definitely not good, right? That's an incredible situation. They play in a dome and have a very good home field advantage. Like Penix, I actually like him as a quarterback, but is he in, is he great? I don't know. But if he was playing, I'd rather invest money in Penix than Caleb Williams just because of the teams he's playing and the situation he's in, right? And then you have J.J. McCarthy, who's in a pretty good situation. I think he's in a better situation than like Caleb Williams because of the coach he has. Kevin O'Connell is a really good offensive coach. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is a good quarterback like I thought. I don't think he's a good quarterback, so I would never invest money in him. That's just my personal opinion. He has decent athleticism. His throwing motion's long. Doesn't throw a great ball. Doesn't have a super strong arm. So I'm not a big fan of J.J. McCarthy. I mean, he's in a good situation. He plays in the Dome, has a good offensive line, good coach, has Justin Jefferson, has Jordan Addison. So, like, he's in a has good weapons. And I'd rather invest money in McCarthy than Williams if I was just had to invest in one of them, but I would not invest in both. And my personal favorite, I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for what I'm about to say. So bear with me. I know you guys are gonna shit on me, but I think Bo Nix is gonna win Rookie of the Year. Why? Well, I think Bo Nix is the most reps on. I know, right? He has the most reps under his belt. He was starting as a true freshman at Auburn. He's played in the craziest games, craziest situations, and was really kind of a disaster in Auburn and refined. And he had like a 70% completion percentage by the time he got out of Oregon. And the situation is in, right? Sean Payton's an incredible coach. Like, once again, this is my opinion, but I think Russell Wilson at this point sucks. I'll say it. I think he stinks. And he had a pretty good year last year because Sean Payton made things easy for him. He had like 26 touchdowns and 8 picks, something like that. And Russell Wilson, like, scrambling's not really there anymore. He's short, doesn't have the strongest arm, and he made Russell Wilson look pretty solid. I think the Broncos, they always have a pretty solid defense. And just because Sean Payton, I think, is a guru with quarterbacks, right? I think Bo Nix is in for a really good year. Like, just look at the track record. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Drew Brees used to be on the Chargers. He actually got drafted to the Chargers, and they had LaDainian Tomlinson. And Drew Brees was like a pretty good quarterback. Like, he was pretty good. He wasn't like amazing, but he wasn't Hall of Fame status, but he was pretty good. I remember it was my Jets were playing the Chargers in San Diego, and like Darren Sproles was like his breakout kind of year, breakout game, whatever. And I remember the Jets lost to Drew Brees, but Drew Brees hopped over to the Saints. Did he have more weapons, right? Like Michael Thomas and stuff, of course, but right, turned into a Hall of Fame quarterback. And like, look at Sean Payton's track record. Now he took Russell Wilson, who stinks, in my opinion, and made him pretty good. And I think Bo Nix has tons of experience and start right away. Good arm, mobile, accurate. I'm so high on him winning Rookie of the Year. Like, I'm very high. And like, you guys might watch this in like a few months from now and be like, Eric, you're a fucking idiot. But that's just my personal opinion. I think Bo Nix, just because of this, not because he's the best quarterback. Like, I probably think like Penix is the most talented, maybe Caleb Williams. But just because of the situation, the reps he's in, the only shitty thing about Bo Nix is he has to play the Chiefs, which is like never easy. The Chargers with Jim Harbaugh was like, that's not going to be easy. And the Raiders really are never easy. So like, teams he's playing not really easy, but Denver always has a good home field advantage. So that's just my personal opinion. I forgot where that question started, but like, point I'm trying to make is the situation players are in is so much more important than how good they actually are. That's the point I'm trying to make. And is look at previous successful quarterbacks. Ask yourself, was the situation they're in good? Right? Daniel Jones, for the most part, never in a good situation, not a good quarterback. Tua, right? How talented is he? I don't know. But he's in an incredible situation, and he's pretty good because of it, right? So basketball, football, hockey, all that stuff, just always ask yourself, if you're going to invest in a player long-term and you think he's going to be good, who's around him? Who's his coach? What are the teams he's going to play every year? Ask yourself that question. That's what a lot of people don't think about that. What do you think about the Raiders this year? No good. I don't think Pierce is a great coach. And look at the competition they're up against, right? Harbaugh and Chargers. You have the Broncos with Bo Nix, who I think I'm pretty high on, and then always you have the Chiefs, right? Like, where's the room, right? Where's the room to make money? Or not make money, but where's the room for the Raiders to be good, right? They don't have nearly the talent. They don't have a quarterback, right? Like, Aiden O'Connell, like, is okay. You know, he could always change people's minds, but, you know, just the situation's bad. Now, if you, like, took the Raiders and replaced them with, like, the Bucks in that division, and they had to play the Panthers and the Saints and those teams, okay, they might make the playoffs, right? The Raiders got no shot. No shot. You can quote that one. They got no shot. Go Ravens. Ravens are always good. I like John Harbaugh. And then, all right, so last thing I'll leave you guys off with. So Wesley asked me with the hobby market trending down, what's your top 3 strategies for keeping ROI strong? So something I've been doing a lot is using market movers. For those of you guys that don't know what market movers is, it's a tool that tracks data. It tracks all sorts of card sales from whenever, and it gives you a nice graph basically of what to look for. And what I've been doing, what I've noticed, I've been data diving pretty deep, and what I've noticed about a lot of these cards is, so what happens, let's take like Victor Wembanyama, for example, right? His good cards, like his Prism cards from 2023, they came out in like February, January. And what happens when a card comes out, right? It always starts out high, it drops. In Wembanyama's case, it started out high, it dropped a little bit, it shot up because it started playing well, season ended, and it started dropping. So what happens is these cards drop, and then right around in the offseason at some point, it starts to flatline. You'll see in the graph, it starts to flatline. Once a card starts to flatline in the offseason, what that tells you is, okay, we're at the floor, let's go and buy it. And this is what I've been doing myself for years without using data, just kind of like guessing. And now, thanks to market movers, it's a really good app. I don't have to guess. So like, for example, like just to give you one, like Eamon Thompson. I was looking at his silver Prism PSA 10s and his base Prism PSA 10s because that's a good metric to use because those are very commonly sold cards. He's a player on the Rockets. His cards were up, they came down, and this flat line has started to begun, right? And I'm going to try to look for him and buy him, and hopefully they're going to go up. And behind me, you see a card of Jamie Jaquez, however to pronounce his name on the Heat. Same thing, like his card shot down once the season ended, down. It starts to flatline, and right, ask yourself, right, if you buy someone like Jaquez right now on the Heat, is he going to go down anymore? If it's already at its floor, probably not, right? It's only going to go up from there if he starts playing well in the preseason, summer league, etc. So that's what I've been doing a lot. Wesley, to answer your question about highest ROI, whether the market's going up or down, there's always money to be made. Obviously, it's always easier when it's going up, but it's give and take because with the market going down, people are willing to give you better deals, right? So it's like if the market's going up, it's harder to get good deals. So it's like, that's just kind of how it goes. But cool. So I'll wrap it up. If you guys have any other questions in the Instagram Live, I'll give you guys another 60 seconds to ask me because I may have missed some as I was talking because I look at the camera, I look at my laptop, I'm all over the place. But yeah, so at the National Card Show, if you do see me, what do you think of Bryce Young and Zach Wilson? No good. Bryce Young's team's just no good. Zach Wilson's just not good. And Bryce Young is just not a good situation. Small, weak arm, no weapons, not a good offensive line. His division's not good, but I just don't see how he could succeed. Yeah, if you guys see me at the National Card Show, you'll see a videographer following me around. I'll be walking around. I'm only probably going to be there Thursday all day, maybe some of the day Wednesday, probably not Friday. I have to leave and go back. I have a bunch of stuff to do. So if you do see me, say hi. I probably won't know your name, but I'm still friendly, so say hi. But hopefully you guys like this. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, comment with any questions you might have or maybe you thought I was wrong with some of the stuff I was saying. But cool. I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for the Instagram Live. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. I'll see you in the next one.